So it is July 4th, and I think it's around 2:45 p.m. And my husband and toddler are out for the afternoon. So I thought that I would go ahead and make a really quick video about the birth of my daughter here. She's here finally. I'm so excited. Um, yeah, so I feel like doing the video now and just documenting it is better than waiting because everything's still fresh in my mind. She was born yesterday around 11:58 a.m. And so I think I made a video last where I was like just ready to be done with being pregnant and wanted her to be here and hoping that she wouldn't delay past 40 weeks. And so I was, what's today? Today's Friday. So yesterday was Thursday, which means I would have been 39 weeks in a day. So I remember the night before. So Tuesday night, or no, Wednesday night, I was getting ready for bed or something like that. And I think I started having these kind of like sharp contractions. And I was like, that's interesting. I haven't had sharp contractions during my pregnancy. My Braxton Hicks aren't usually sharp like that. And so I thought, well, let me just go ahead and monitor them because maybe this is something and I need to track it. So I pulled up the app, did some tracking, and they were kind of consistent. And the app started telling me that I needed to alert like my midwife or OB. So I was like, okay, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and send them a message because at the point that it told me that, the contractions started to kind of lighten up a little bit and they weren't consistent anymore. And I felt like, I don't know, I felt like it was going to stall. And it did. Like, by the time I texted them and told them, like, hey, I don't know what's going on. If it picks back up again, I don't know if this was like Braxton Hicks contractions and then, or it was labor starting and it stalled. But I'm going to, let you guys know if anything happens. I'm going to go to bed. I think it was like after 10:30 at night. So the next morning, I get up with my son, and we got up at around like 7 o'clock, and I was trying to make breakfast. But all of a sudden, I started having really sharp contractions again that were similar to what I had the night before. But they were so that like the first couple were sharp, but then like the second and third were sharp, but in a way where I don't want to say it was like super painful, but I couldn't concentrate on what I was doing. Like my son was trying to tell me something he wanted and he was being a little fussy and whiny, and then I was having these sharp contractions, but also like I felt like something was changing with me, like mentally. I don't know how to explain it. It was hard to focus. I had a really hard time focusing. So every time one of the contractions, sharp contractions would happen, I would have a hard time focusing. And then because of the intensity of it, I literally had to stop what I was doing and breathe. I would start breathing, like doing the breathing. And I'm like, I wonder if this is labor starting. I wonder if I'm going into early labor. But I was like, it happened last night, the same type of feeling of contractions, but it didn't go anywhere. So I was like, do I tell my midwives? But I was like, let me just keep tracking it, see what happens. And they weren't consistent. Like I wasn't really having like consistent contractions. So I'm thinking maybe this is just Braxton Hicks, but I'm like, I know you can have Braxton Hicks that can be sharp and maybe turn into labor contractions. I don't know. I think I had read that somewhere. So I think around 7:30, because I was still having them from 7 to 7:30, I just decided to take my son to my friend's house. I called her up and I was like, hey, I don't know if I'm going into labor or what's happening right now. I'm like, but the contractions I'm having feel different. I'm going to call my midwives, but can I drop him off? Because at that point, he was really a lot for me. And I just could not focus on anything for him. I'm like, he could tell like I didn't have my attention on him. And so he's being really super fussy and like, Mom, I do this, I want to do that. And I'm like, okay, I literally can't right now. Like, I'm having these contractions. My body is going through something right now. Mentally, I can't focus. I need to just drop you off. And she's like, yeah, sure. Because she's my point of contact for if I go into labor. Because she has a daughter that's 2. And my son and her daughter are best friends. And she lives 8 minutes away. So I was like, and I was thinking too, if I left, then it was a better idea than waiting until the contractions got really strong and then I couldn't drive or do anything because no one was home. It was just me and my son. And I mean, my friend would have come to pick him up. She would have found a way to come get him. But I just felt like, let me just drop him off and then just kind of like track this, see what's happening, let my midwives know. So I drove to her house. I had a couple of contractions going there and they were intense. They were intense in a way where it was just like sharp and like it just felt different. So I dropped him off and then left, went back home, called my midwives, told them like, hey, don't know if I'm going into labor or not, or if this is just Braxton Hicks. I'm like, but they're definitely more intense. I'm having difficulty concentrating. I have to breathe through them. And one thing I didn't really have anything to compare to was my first pregnancy because my contractions with my first pregnancy in early labor were like a 2. These contractions were more like a 7, 8. Like, and when I say 7, 8, like they were bearable, but like they were intensely sharp. And just the way I was feeling when it would happen was just different, like mentally different. Like my focus was like gone. Like I had to stop everything I was doing and breathe. So my midwife was like, yeah, just let us know. We'll send someone over. And so I think, I'm trying to think what happened. Called my husband. Oh yeah, called my husband too. And I said, you might have to come home. I don't know yet. I said, a midwife is coming to come see where my cervix is at and how far along am I face. I said, but I'm having these different type of contractions now. And they had started to become a little more consistent at that point. I said, but I don't really know if I'm in labor because like they were kind of consistent, but kind of not, if that makes sense. Like the app was not telling me that I needed to alert my midwife like it was the night before. Like it wasn't saying it at all. Like it really wasn't. And I think because the contractions were longer than they were long contractions. It was like 2 minutes long. And usually I guess Braxton Hicks are long and labor contractions are not that long. So the app was like, yeah, they're not long. They're too long for it to be contractions. So I was like, I don't know. But something's going on. I know something's going on. And I was starting to feel more pressure down, down there. I started to feel more pressure. I was like having a desire to just sit on the toilet constantly. So I kept going. Every time I have a contraction, I go sit down on the toilet. And I kept going to sit down on the toilet, And I was just like, okay, I have to be in labor right now. This has to be happening. And so I kept debating on whether to tell my husband if he should come home. And I was still waiting for the midwife to get there. And then I'm trying to think. I had even asked the midwife, I'm like, do you think I should tell my husband to come home? Because I had plans to do a water birth and the tub needed to be filled up, right? And I pulled out the tub because it was already inflated. And I was just trying to figure out, like, I didn't have the focus to do anything. Literally nothing. Like, just maybe, like, right after I got home from dropping my son off, I did a little bit of straightening up around the house and pulling out some stuff just in case it was labor. I wanted to make sure all my stuff was out so that when the midwife got there, she could find things easily. So I just started pulling everything out and then cleaning up a little bit. And what happened? I'm trying to think. Oh, yeah. So then the midwife shows up. By the time she got there, I was on the floor. I was on the floor breathing through one of my contractions because it had gotten stronger at that point. And right before she came, I called my husband and I said, you need to just get here because I had a really intense contraction. And I was like, I think I'm in labor. So then the midwife comes in and she's like, okay, trying to set up everything. She's like, I want to check you, see where you're at. She said, but just give me a minute. I got to get all my stuff out and together. So I'm like, yeah, you do you. I'm just going to be breathing the contractions. I'm like, it's intense. It's getting more intense at that point. Like I couldn't stand up. Like I was on my hands and knees breathing. And I was like kind of in a birthing position. And I had the tub set up in the living room. So I was like sitting right next to the tub. And she was like, okay, what did she do? She started filling up she's like, I'm going to start filling up the tub as well, just in case. because it takes 45 minutes for that to fill up. And then she was trying to find things and get stuff together. And she's like, I want to check you. Can I check you? And I was like, yeah, we can do that. But I was still on the floor breathing. I was like, oh my gosh, these contractions are getting more and more intense. And she said, I'm pretty sure you're in labor right now, just because of what's going on with you. So I don't even remember. Like, I think she checked me, and I don't even know how dilated I was. I think she told me I was a 7 centimeters dilated, and she's like, you're in labor, and you're probably gonna like move through this pretty quickly. She's like, I'm gonna call the other midwife to get here. She said, is your husband on his way? I'm like, yes, he's on his way. He came through the door maybe like 15-20 minutes later. I was still just like going through it. And then she needed help because she was trying to fill up the birthing tub, but she couldn't figure out how to unscrew the shower head. And so my husband helped to do all that. And I'm trying to think of I don't know what time it was, but I remember just the contractions were just intense. They were intense. It was more intense than it was painful. Like, there's an element of pain, but I feel like it was just more intense than it was like extremely painful. And just the process of going through labor, like the early and active labor stage, it's intense. It's very intense. It is intense, to a certain degree. And so, like, there's so much going on. Like, your body is changing. Things are changing. Your mind is I feel like your mind is changing as well. And I was trying to focus on remembering how to breathe. And I'm like, because I knew this was happening, I'm praying. I had Christian Hypnobirthing playing in the background, which was very helpful because it's kind of relaxing music or relaxing encouraging scriptures going. And the lady's voice is like super calm. That does the Christian hypnobirthing app. And so I was just like trying to stay calm. But I was calm. I was pretty calm. Like, but I was like a little bit nervous, I think, because this is going to be my first home birth. I'm birthing in water. I've never had a full-term baby before. I had a preemie at 28 weeks and 5 days, and here I am like 39 weeks in a day. So I'm just like, just trying to focus on the moment, which is breathing, paying attention to where my body's at and transitioning to go into having the first baby out. Those are fireworks, of course, because it's the 4th of July, but if you can hear that in the video. But anyway, so I'm trying to think. So at one point the midwife was like, do you need me to put some pressure on your back? And I was like, yes, please. So she was like putting pressure on my back, and I was like leaning into it. And then she said, okay, the tub is full. You can go ahead and get into it. So I got in the tub, and I was like, oh my gosh, this was so good. Like, getting into that tub made me feel more relaxed. And so then I was like, okay, I learned from the postpartum and pregnancy TV YouTube channel how to position my body during early labor. And then there's another channel, what is her name? Bridget, I can't remember the girl's name. I'll probably link the channels below for anyone that's interested, but they go through breathing and like positions that were helpful for your pelvis to be open to kind of like bring the baby down, and then teaching you how to breathe the baby down. So I was doing all of that. And it was becoming more and more intense. And then finally I was in active labor, and I was having the need to bear down, and I'm breathing through that. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, it was intense. It was intense. Birthing a baby is the most intense experience ever. Like, it wasn't as intense when I had my son, because he was kind of early and everything happened so quick. It was intense, but not as intense as like this experience of a home birth in water with a full-term baby and being like longer labor, because I only labored with my son for 2 hours. This was like a 4-hour labor. and just more pushing. I only had to push my son out through like 2 or 3 contractions. I don't even know how many contractions I had pushing her out. But I just remember it just felt like a lot. It felt like a lot. And I didn't want to like give up or focus on any like pain that I could possibly be feeling. And so I just focused on the breathing, breathing through each contraction, breathing through the rest period, and just relaxing my body and just reminding myself that I could do this. And honestly, it was the best birthing experience I could have ever had. Like, it was more intense than it was painful. And I'm sure it was painful, but right now I don't really remember how painful it was. I just remember how intense it was. And I remember when she got to the point where she was already crowning, and I needed maybe like 2 or 3 pushes to get her out. She was already like pushed. She wasn't crowning anymore. She was already like, her head was already coming out, but I needed like 2 more pushes, 2 or 3 more pushes. And the midwives are like, how about you change positions? Because I was doing one of the positions that I learned from the postpartum pregnancy TV channel. And it's a good position, but if you get further on into like you've been in that position for too long, like you need your butt to be up a little bit. My butt was like sliding down more, and I think that it was closing off my pelvis. So they told me to lean into my husband. So my husband would put his arms under my armpit, and then they were like, put your legs up, like lift your butt off the ground or off the floor of the tub, and then push through those contractions. Breathe through and push through them. Sorry, my my phone fell. But they were like, breathe through and push through the contractions, and listen to your body. Do what whenever your body is pushing, you just push with it. And so that's what I did. And oh my gosh, she came out finally, because I remember just being like, please come out. I'm like, God, praying to God. I'm like, God, please bring her out and down. I need her to come out. Like, it had been 4 hours. I wasn't pushing for 4 hours. I don't even know how long I was pushing. I'll have to ask my midwife, who's coming today to check on me. How long was I pushing for? Because I don't remember. I'm gonna say maybe it was an hour, a couple hours, and the first part of my labor was 2 hours, like early labor. I really don't know. So I just remember I knew I was gonna get there. I'm like, she's gonna come out. Like, I'm gonna be holding her in my arms, and I kept thinking about that, thinking positively. Like, this isn't going to last forever. Like, she's going to come out. I just have to keep pushing. I have to just let myself breathe through it. Don't hold your breath. Don't tense up. Relax. I kept telling myself to relax. And then I was doing like pushing. What is it called? If you watch the video, the woman from postpartum pregnancy TV talks about wrapping when you're breathing down, kind of like wrapping your core on your baby to push down. I was doing that. That was like a good tip. That these people on the internet that know about home birthing, like the doulas and midwives or whatever, that are telling you to breathe your baby down, that is like the best thing. So she came out. I put her on my chest, and I was just like, oh my gosh. I'm like, finally, I'm holding my baby in my arms. This is amazing. Like, I'm so happy. It's done. Like, I did it. I'm almost 43 years old. I'm 2 months away from turning 43. I had my second baby. I had my dream home birth, water birth. And I did it successfully. And I didn't even tear. They were like, you didn't even tear. Like, you had no tears. And they were just like, you did amazing. You breathed through everything. I was just like, praise God. Like, best experience ever. Like, if I have more children, they're all being birthed at home, water births. That's it. But yeah, so that was it. And she came out at 11:58 a.m. One other thing that God answered my prayer for was laboring during the day. I didn't want to labor at night. I didn't want my son to have to sleep at my friend's house, because I just would probably be thinking about him. I mean, I probably would or wouldn't. I don't know. But I just know that, when you have a 2-year-old and you send them somewhere that they haven't slept before, they're going to be anxious and crying and wanting mama and dada, right? And I just wanted him to be able to just go to my friend's house, play outside with his bestie, and then come home and meet his baby sister. And that is what happened. Like, I got exactly what I was wanting, was to labor during the day. And I praise God for that. Like, really do. So, yeah, just that's my story. And I, may share more later on if I think of anything else, but I figured getting it out and just like reflecting on it now as opposed to waiting. Yeah. But it was great. I don't know, there wasn't anything else that I could think of other than, yeah, I did it. I did that. And I'm so proud of myself. I am so proud of myself. And I wish my mom was here to hear about it, but I told my whole family and everything, and everyone's happy for us, and we're adjusting, I should say, to having a toddler and a baby, and I'm excited for this new journey of being a a mom of two. I'm so excited. But yeah, so I hope anybody that's watching this, like, that, my first birth didn't go the way that I planned. That story is on my channel. Like, my first birth did not go at all as I planned. But it worked out, everything went well, even though it didn't go the way that I planned. But I feel like God, like, blessed me, because through my daughter being born, to have an even better experience and have the one that I wanted. And that just makes me happy. It makes me happy because someday I'll tell her the story. And I think that a daughter would relate more to her story being told by mom of how she came into the world, as opposed to, like, if it was flip-flopped and it was my daughter who came first early. I feel like, because I was my mom's first, and I was early, 28 weeks early too. And I never could understand my mom's story. I never could. She would tell me, "Oh, you're so tiny," and boo. And I used to be like, "Okay, mom, sure, whatever." And then my son was 28 weeks, and that was the first time I understood my mom telling me about how early I was and how little I was and how she felt and how emotional it was for her. But it's great that someday I'll be able to share my daughter's birth story with her when she is older, and then again when she's having her own children. So I don't know, it just makes me happy and excited. I'm just glad that my dream birth happened with her. But anyway, so I forgot to mention, we're not telling the name, sorry. We are, I will tell you, she was 7 pounds, 7.5 pounds, and then I think she was 21 inches long. Yeah, so just my beautiful girl. My girl is so beautiful. I am so happy that she is here, and yeah, I'm just so thankful to God. But I'm going to end it here and go and get some rest. I'm still recovering, and the recovery process, I feel like I don't know what it's gonna be like. I'm curious. Compared to having a 28-weeker, I was 2 days healed, done, moved on. I'm just glad I didn't have any tearing with this pregnancy, and so far I'm fine. I feel great. It's just letting my body finish healing, and I'm going to document that and talk about whatever else that happens from now on. So anyway, that is it.